Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of your favourite educational podcast. In today's episode, I thought I would describe my rebuilt wardrobe. I am in the process of currently creating what Pinterest would know as the dream wardrobe. I basically hate everything, tale as old as time, and I took that all out on my wardrobe because I have nothing else in my life to take it out on. Previously in the syllabus, we have covered beginner's guide to menswear, and we have also then gone on to describe the theory and the how and why I wanted to redo my wardrobe. And I'm currently in that process. I'm currently sitting amongst piles and piles, hemorrhoids of clothing, swamped by it, that I need to get rid of. We are trying to put theory into practice. Hang on, let me show you. Good evening. Now I have to sit in the right position again. The sun has to hit my face perfectly. So yes, I've done some homework. We have some diagrams. This is spectrum level dedication. I've really gone all out for this because I am depressed. I'm going to walk you through the experimental phase of actually acquiring new clothes, describing what I like and dislike. This can be a part of a cheeky little series we can have on this channel. Personal to myself. But not so personal that you shouldn't watch it. Thank you NoCD for sponsoring this video. Social media discourse on mental health is extremely popular. Too often I see the romanticization of a handful of mental health conditions, with socially curated aesthetics become fashionable to adopt. One such portrayal you are more than likely to be familiar with is that an OCD diagnosis reflects discipline and cleanliness, maybe through hand washing or organization. But real OCD is a cycle of unwanted thoughts that can create intense distress, followed by engaging in behaviors to relieve that stress, like replaying conversations over and over in your head, or seeking constant and persistent reassurance. OCD can focus on anything that you care about, your health, your relationships, but even what you wear. For example, have you ever felt like your clothes has been ruined by having a bad day? Then, even once that moment in time passes, the clothing continues to embody that bad event. And although you understand that rationally it's no more than fabric, you feel a fear that is so real and intense anxiety just at the sight of the clothes that you cannot bring yourself to wear them again. If you've ever felt like this, you don't have to let it continue to overwhelm you, because OCD is highly treatable with the kind of specialized therapy that NoCD can provide you with. NoCD is the world's leading provider of OCD treatment, with licensed therapists expertly trained in exposure and response prevention, or ERP therapy, the most effective treatment for OCD. Therapy with NoCD is 100% virtual, covered by insurance for over 138 million Americans, and includes support between sessions through therapist messaging, dozens of live support groups, and expert-developed therapy tools. And their team makes it so simple to get started. If any of this sounds familiar, visit nocd.com and book a free 15-minute call to learn more about how they can help you. That's nocd.com to learn more and talk to someone who can help. Thank you NoCD for sponsoring this video. In today's episode, I am going to be describing the things I like and dislike. I have acquired a few items and I have acknowledged the items that I wish to keep. I feel we should continue now. I toyed with the idea of calling this a capsule wardrobe, the basics, essential wardrobe, but I decided against it. My wardrobe is not here to intentionally limit. I am not particularly worried about owning too much or too little. That's not going to be the focus right now. It's not about downsizing. It's about mindfully acquiring and mindfully owning. I just want to cut the crap, and that should, hypothetically, result in a downsized wardrobe to begin with. However, that will be because I own a load of crap. What I want to have is only things that I'm proud to own. Things I like and dislike. Firstly, material. I really like cotton. Cotton is my favourite material. And I feel like cotton is a little bit of the pick-me material of the fashion world, but I think it earns its reputation. Generally, when people talk about cotton, they say it's a great replacement for polyester. And I think that is true. I agree. And I think that it does go further than ethics. So yes, polyester is bad for the planet and it ends up in landfill. It's not biodegradable. And actually, I'm very very enjoying the marketing of biodegradable fashion, where people start burying their clothing, a time lapse of it biodegrading. I'm enjoying that. Polyester doesn't do that. It'll stick around. And yes, that's bad for the planet. But also, we're allowed to be selfish here. I think fashion is an indulgence. You don't need to be interested in fashion in order to survive. I think it's perfectly acceptable to say, I like cotton because it feels better. That's perfectly valid. I like cotton because it feels better. I like it because it's softer, it wears better. But actually, most importantly, in reference to t-shirts and jumpers, I really like heavy clothing. I really like heavy clothing because I feel that the way it moves and the way that it, even if it's a t-shirt underneath something, the way that it structures that layer over the top is a lot better than something thinner. So to my collection, I would love to add some Hanes beefy t-shirts. I think moving forward I need to get rid of my graphic t-shirts and replace them with plain white t-shirts, which you may think is so boring, so dull. But I need to grow up. If I want people to take me seriously, I can't be wearing a buswankers t-shirt. It's just not appropriate. You know, I could keep these for the sake of having a sleeping t-shirt, which I probably will, to be honest, because I think it's quite funny. But yes, I don't think this is appropriate office wear attire. Like I go to the office. Colours that I like are white, cream, black, grey, silver, navy blue, and blue. Normal blue. I dislike everything else. I dislike patterns also. I know spots and stripes are quite having their niche chic moment. I don't think particularly I can pull them off. I am more of a fan of texture than I am of patterns. So for example, instead of having something stripy in terms of two different coloured stripes, I would prefer like a waffle knit or something, or like a ribbed knit. I think that that detail is much more interesting than colour. And also you have to pay more attention to notice it, which I guess you could argue is one of the main ideas of a high capital item. Only people with high cultural knowledge will understand that texture signals class. But I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be saying that, I'm not really sure. Maybe I should scrap that. I do actually think in some cases spots and stripes are cute. On other people, not myself. As I say, I would much prefer ribbing. In terms of fit and feel, as I said already, I do like heavy things and I like soft things. I'm not actually too worried about itchy wool, because if you're raw dogging a cardigan, I just think you need to reconsider. I don't think that's the cardigan's fault. Who is wearing a cardigan on their nipples? That's just absolutely ridiculous. An itchy sweater has never been a problem for me, to be honest. Whenever I wear something wool, it will never be by itself. Stop being a pussy and wear a long sleeve t-shirt underneath it. I would put more focus on the feel of base layers. In terms of underwear base layers, I have a lot of mohair thermals and they feel really nice. Mohair is a lot better than cotton and polyester for performance wear. Cotton, it gets very heavy and damp when you sweat in cotton. Performance wear is actually very often made of polyester. I think to say that it's bad because it's made of polyester is an untrue statement. You can, of course, say that polyester is bad for the planet. That is true. Two things can be true at the same time. It can be bad for the planet, but also good at wicking away sweat. Which it is, but it stinks and you can't really wash the smell out of it. I mean, this doesn't apply to me because I don't smell, I don't sweat. I'm a lady. But for you, don't wear polyester thermals, wear mohair, wear some kind of organic material. If you are going for a run, if you are at the gym, and actively sweating, actively performing, polyester is going to be a good option, in my opinion. It doesn't matter if you smell while you are doing a triathlon, you know, no one really cares. At the gym, everything's a competition, so you just want to win. You don't care if you're the stinkiest, and that is my opinion anyway. Like, I go to the gym. If I did go to the gym, I would win. These things that I've mentioned are my core opinions that I will have on every garment used in every outfit. So then I move on to the occasion. Anything that you create an outfit for, it will be for one of three occasions: smart, casual, practical. If an outfit does not fit into one of these categories, it's not an outfit. What is the point in that outfit? That is the main reason why I disliked the juxtaposition trend, the sort of tracksuit bottoms and heels and things, is because they don't fit into any of those categories. The only place that this is ever going to be appropriate for is standing on a zebra crossing. And for the majority of us, we just want to cross the road. For example, whatever event you get invited to, it will fall into one of these categories. Hang out with friends, casual. Hang out with superiors, smart. Hang out with dogs, practical. Heels and tracksuit bottoms are not going to be able to accomplish any of these tasks. And I guess that's kind of the litmus test for whether an outfit is appropriate or not, whether it fits into one of those categories, whether you can wear it to one of those occasions. So moving forward, I have to consider whether I would wear pieces of clothing to one of those occasions. I'm acting like I have friends, superiors, or a dog, of which I have none. So what do I know? Don't listen to me. Maybe that's why I have no friends. Maybe I need to start wearing heels and tracksuits and I'll get more friends. Next category, things I know I will wear a lot. Brands, makes, models that I know I will like. First and foremost, I've spoken about it so many times. Levi engineered jeans. Levi engineered jeans, so chic, so niche, but I like them. The scarcity marketing of Levi engineered jeans is really working on me. They're a vintage item no longer made and are sold on Depop for upwards of £200, and I am just simply not paying for that. So I spend hours scouring Facebook groups in Thailand and the like. But the scarcity marketing of a vintage item is a lot more valid than a scarcity marketing campaign of something new. They're doing it on purpose when it's new. With a vintage item, they just don't exist. You can't make more of them. So I think that's valid. I have accumulated many pairs of Levi engineered jeans, and that is a problem. I don't dislike them. They're just not my favourite. And I've spoken many times before about the pink lady theory, which is the idea that if you buy something that is subpar, you're going to end up with a load of subpar things and get the quality item at the end anyway. So you will have just wasted your money on all those subpar things. Why don't you just get the quality item that you wanted in the first place in the beginning? I need to stop buying subpar Levi engineered jeans and just buy the ones that I want. I would have saved myself a lot more money. I'm sure I have more than £200 worth of Levi engineered jeans at the moment sitting in my piles that are not what I want. Currently, my favourite models are the single pocket cinch back jeans, the June 9th 1999 model with all the buttons and stuff, the button belt, also Levi 503 baggy jeans that aren't made anymore. I much prefer baggy jeans to slim fitting jeans. However, if we are to go back to our occasions, there are levels of each of these occasions. If we are talking about jeans, we are probably going to be doing something casual, but there is casual hanging out with friends in the garden and casual hanging out with friends at brunch. Brunch is going to require a smarter outfit, but it will remain under the casual category, if you know what I mean. This is where things like the wash and the fit of the garment comes into practice. Personally, I do not like raw denim. I know that it is very popular amongst the fashion bros. Honestly, I can't think of anything worse. I really don't like it. However, I am not opposed to a dark wash in general. As long as the dark wash has some wear to it, I think it's fine. And it doesn't have that stiff quality that raw denim has. I think it's fine. That is the beauty of secondhand clothing. Someone's done the work for you. The way that worn clothing moves, it's a lot less stiff. I like a bit of distressing. Jeans particularly are a good thing to mention when talking about distressing and wear and vintage and stuff like that, because jeans wear differently over time, and I think that's quite interesting, and you just try and find the right kind of wear that you like. The more casual wear is going to be a light wash distressed denim, and a smarter wear is going to be a darker wash. And also in terms of silhouette, baggy is going to be more casual, a slimmer fit is going to be more smart. Maybe that's just my opinion, but it is valid to have different silhouettes of jeans. I do like a bootcut jean. I think that's quite nice. So I know that Levi engineered jeans are so trendy at the moment, but there's going to be an element of trendiness to everything that you own, and I think that's fine. If it's completely void of trends, it's just going to be incredibly dull. So for example, if you look towards Levi's, the trendiest thing at the moment is going to be Levi engineered jeans, and maybe the less offensive model is going to be the Levi 501s. I think both both are fine to have, but if you just have a wardrobe of Levi 501s, it's going to be pretty boring. I don't think there is any use to buying a boring wardrobe for the sake of eradicating trends. I don't think that's useful. That's not going to make you happy. It's not going to make me happy anyway. I don't think you should necessarily be afraid of buying trends. Just be mindful of whether you actually like it or not. If I am downsizing a wardrobe, it is going to be a lot easier to, if I find something that I dislike, to get rid of it. By creating a smaller pool of options, when you find something you dislike, it's going to be a lot easier to replace it than when you have a large pool of options. It'll be easier to identify instead of having piles lying around. Don't let it rot at the back of your wardrobe and accumulate. I don't know if you've ever heard of the ship of Theseus, but in case you were unfamiliar, in ancient Athens there was a ship that everyone loved because Theseus used it to go to and from Crete on a little bit of an island hop to defeat the Minotaur and save the future of Athenian youth. For this reason, the ship became like a sort of mascot for Athens. And so the Athenians said, we shall never let this ship rot. But Theseus retires and his ship just sits bobbing along in the salt water, and inevitably the planks start to rot. But every time one does, a little shipman, he replaces it with a new one to maintain the boat. Over many years, many decades, the Athenians lovingly tended to their rotting boat, until some shit stirrer was like, if every part of this has been replaced, is it even Theseus's ship anymore? So he's out here stirring the pot saying, is this Theseus's ship, or is this just a ship that's inherited Theseus's ship's name? I guess. And the argument is always, but cells regenerate every 7 years, and you're still the same person, which is ridiculous for two reasons. One, this is simply not true. I don't know who told you that, because I think this is rather the Mandela effect in action. Cells all reproduce at different rates, and some cells you have for a lifetime, so that's just not true. But also, the story continues. So the Athenian drama queen has come out and said, bro, what are you doing? This isn't even Theseus's ship anymore. And Athens are like, yeah, but cells regenerate every 7 years, so they're just out here trying to defend the Athenian legacy. Meanwhile, this pathological hoarder opens his little shed and says, it's okay, guys. I've kept all of the rotting pieces and made this boat. So now you have two ships, one that was well maintained to be seaworthy, and one that was built later out of the original rotting parts. And the dilemma is, which one is the ship of Theseus? Okay, so why did I go on this tangent? Okay, let me explain. The reason why I'm telling you this story is because if the man with the shed was mentally competent, he wouldn't be keeping old crap no longer useful in the first place. So he wouldn't even get to the dilemma stage. And that's what I want with my wardrobe. I don't want a shit stirrer to call me out and a man in a shed come out with all my worn out pieces. I'd rather just get rid of the rotting pieces and not have the shit stirred at all. So actually, I made some spider diagrams. Items of clothing will fall into 3 separate occasions, but they will also fall into 3 separate categories of garment: tops, bottoms, shoes, and accessories. I need to consider how they will fit together with one another in order to create an appropriate outfit for one of the occasions mentioned. I am not yet at the stage of identifying every single piece of clothing that I want to have. However, what I have done is identify the items in my wardrobe that I wish to keep. I have 1 pair of Levi engineered jeans that I wish to keep. I have the single pocket cinch back jeans. I also have a couple of pairs of dungarees. I like Birkenstocks. I have my Vibram Five Fingers, vintage Doc Martens, Converse. I currently do not own any footwear that would come underneath the smart category. I had a pair of kitten heels, but the heel broke. It's never a good idea to buy vintage footwear. They just crumbled. I would like another pair of kitten heels because I think a great template for a smart outfit is sort of a mid-length skirt and a kitten heel. I think that's really rather sweet. So I do want to acquire that, and I do actually have a list specifically of things that I wish to acquire and things that I already own that I like. I think that is about the extent of where I'm up to with the process. I just thought I'd walk you through it as I begin to curate the dream wardrobe by starting my wardrobe from scratch, and I am actually greatly enjoying it, despite what it may look like. And that is everything we have for today. I really hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you once again to NoCD for sponsoring this video. It's so exciting for me. It's very exciting for me. It's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is. I really hope to see you very incredibly soon. Until next we meet. Au revoir. Au revoir. France! France! France. 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 Au revoir.
Oh. That's it, I'm not going.